How's everybody doing? Good?
Good, yeah.
Right. He's so sweet.
Come on.
Sweet.
Hey.
Good.
Hey. Perfect.
You know what? When you look at this, can't you see the evidence of catastrophic flood? Floodwaters up here.
There it is.
Massive drainage. It's just, it's so evident when you look at the topography of our world. It's everywhere. Massive flood, rapid water, gone. Yeah, that's not rain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Years ago, actually the first time as an adult when I was flying, I was looking out the window and I'm like, holy smokes. Noah's flood is like, for sure happened. You could just see going over the mountain ranges how the water was up here, covered everything, and then it dispersed really quickly. That's what created all that. It's amazing. Have you seen the documentary Is Genesis History? YouTube. Super, super informative. It's really good.
I was thinking about the early settlers and how they had to come across all that on horse and buggy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's perilous times.
yes.
Talk to the Donner Party.
We're not gonna talk about food.
You guys heard the Donner Party?
Oh, yeah.
The what? The Donner Party.
Donner Pass.
Donner Pass in California. There was a wagon train. The kid got stuck in a snowstorm. They turned to cannibalism to survive a few months in. Yeah.
Wow. Different kind of food.
Speaking of the carnival,
Nutrition. Keep going. Health and nutrition there.
that's pure
turn.
Is that the lion diet or what is that?
That's a different, yeah.
Mine's just beef, salt, water.
Yeah. Are we ready?
Yeah, for it.
Okay, thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for joining us online. Bishop, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Bishop asked me to head up this, kind of spearhead this health and nutrition class, or kind of a group, just to draw some attention to our health and wellness, health and nutrition. And health comes from nutrition. So it's interesting that he asked me, because at the beginning of this year, I had purposed in my heart, there she's sitting right from the camera. Don't mind the stragglers. So it's interesting because at the beginning of the year, I had purposed in my heart that I wanted to kind of create some new habits. And so I started out the year with an extended fast, for multiple purposes, and health reasons, spiritual reasons, discipline reasons, just to kind of create some new habits. And because I am an absolute addict. I've been addicted to a lot of things in my life. Sugar, not the least of which, sugar. As a matter of fact, I was so consumed with sugar that kind of my life and my schedule, my world, my weeks would revolve around when I was going to eat a sugar. It's interesting because Elder Laxamana noticed, he and his wife noticed, that when we had gatherings at our house, that I wouldn't eat the sugar. We'd have people, Sister Heather bringing over amazing desserts and cookies, all the stuff that we're getting. And I would never eat it when people were there, but I'd stash 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 cookies, give a slice of this, and then when everybody would leave, I'd clean up. and then nobody around, no judgment. And literally like an addict, I'd be getting my fix when everybody was gone. And I was obviously I wasn't doing it every single day, or I'd weigh 400 pounds, but enough to where I was a slave to it. And I don't want to be a slave to anything to that degree, especially something that affects your health so much. Has anybody here ever been on a diet? Tried to be on a diet? Whether is it primarily because you wanted to lose weight, or because the doctor said, you need to do something about this, you need to pay some attention. All of us have tried to lose a few lbs at one time or another, right? Well, this is not really what this is about for me anyway. It's nice to be, trimmer and fit in our clothes better, and that's an added bonus. But this, for me, this health and wellness, health and nutrition class that we're drawing some attention to is more about metabolic health and long-term feeling good. Metabolic health comes from the word metabolism, and we metabolize the food that we consume, and that absolutely affects our well-being, our health, the future, like what our health could be in the future. It's interesting. If you go to, how many of you have pets? You ever taken them to the vet? What's one of the first things that they ask you when you take your dog or cat to the vet?
What do you feeding?
What are you feeding?
Mm-hmm.
They always want to know what you're feeding your animal.
Yeah.
Because they know that it absolutely affects the health of your animal. I find it so ironic and kind of maddening and annoying. In our world today, you go to the typical doctor, they don't ask you what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
They want to take out the script and give you something, feed you some drugs.
Mm-hmm.
What we eat, it can't be overstated. Like, it affects everything from your mental health, from diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Crohn's disease,
Vision.
your vision, glaucoma, your skin, your hair, your arthritis, gout, acid reflux. All of these things are completely connected with what we consume, what we put in our pie hole, as I like to put it. And so that's why we're here. We're just wanting to not so much increase our lifespan, because we're all, if Jesus doesn't come back, we're all dying, and I'm good with that. And so this is not even so much about health span. I'm sorry, lifespan. It's about health span, and creating opportunities so that Brother Ciscani can play with Zeke when he's ready to run around, and so that we can enjoy our grandkids a little bit better. So we can, it's not. I don't think it's the will of God that we're 70 years old and we have all these ailments. And this. How many times have we asked for prayer? You see people get asked for prayer, and this is a touchy subject, I know. Pray for me, I have diabetes. And God can heal that, and He will. Right? Don't shoot me. It's kind of like me being a cigarette smoker and saying, pray for me, I have lung cancer, but I continue to smoke.
Correct.
The correlation is pretty much identical.
Yeah.
So if we will change the things that we consume. Sorry, Siri.
Siri had a comment.
If we will pay attention to what we consume, we can make drastic differences in our lives. It's hard. It's so hard. It's all around us. The opportunity to make bad choices. I thought about this today, and I don't know that it applies. Take it or leave it, but the Bible says to study to show yourself approved, a workman who needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Now, we need to know those things so that we can sift through and wade through all the nonsense teachings that are in our world. Like if we don't know that for ourselves, you'll be lured and swayed with every wind of doctrine. We've got to know for ourselves what the Word of God teaches and says. And it's kind of like nutrition. There's so much false religion out here this hour that you've got to know the Word of God, or you will be swayed and misled and deceived.
Yes.
Kind of like nutrition. I mean, there's so many opportunities for bad choices. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're all victims. We're victims to the information that we're fed. So depending on who you talk to, I mean, you could be keto, you could be paleo, you could be vegan, you could be carnivore, you could have felt there's a myriad of Atkins was the old keto. So Mediterranean, yeah. The caveman diet, just all these platforms and diets that you can follow. And if you follow any of those, you can be successful, whatever. Especially if you're trying to lose weight, you can lose weight by just basically calorie deficit and being consistent and disciplined.
Yeah.
If you can show some consistency and discipline, you can be successful. I'm at the place where I want to be. I'm not saying I'm never going to eat sugar again. That's probably ridiculous. But having control, real control of how I feel, and having control of the food choices that I make. I had some bullet points here, which is so again, this is not about we're not going to have any we're not going to have any apostolic aerobic classes. We're not going to be doing any
No scales to step on.
we're not going to have weigh in Zumba. You're dating yourself. Zumba. We're not going to be doing any.
Biggest Loser.
What's that?
The Biggest Loser.
I win. So it's not about that. It's just about us drawing attention to our health, our metabolic health, and if we make some changes, if we make just even a few changes, it can have some. It can yield some good results. Bishop sent me a video, and I love videos. I consume. I mean, obviously, our health and nutrition and weight and all that stuff is way low as far as value and importance as our spiritual lives. I mean, I'm not trying to take away from that at all. However, we have one vessel. We get one. Yeah. And I think it's important how we take care of it. I mean, it's not about looking good. We live in a culture where everyone wants to look good. And that, like I said, will be a side benefit. You drop some lbs, maybe, and we're all wanting to fit better in our clothes. But it's just more about more about feeling good than looking good. The choices we make, good and bad, the foods we eat, because there's not immediate, you're not dying right away if you have donuts every day. I mean, you could eat donuts. It's amazing how resilient the body is. I've seen people abuse. We all have seen people abuse their bodies. Drugs, alcohol, smoking, bad food. They take no care at all. And they 68, 72 years old, and you see somebody else who's trying to do the right thing, and they have a heart attack at 62 or whatever it is. So there's, it's kind of a, there's no science to it. Our bodies are incredibly resilient, and because we're eating poorly today, you may not see the results of that for 15 or 20 years.
Right.
And it's kind of the same. It's the same way when you eat the right things, you consume the right things. You may not see the benefits, the results right away. So you got to be patient. I want to play a video here. One second.
Evolution. As Nurse Cindy said.
Okay, let me say this. He doesn't always use the choices. He might use colorful language. I don't think in this one he does. But he's
Every now and then.
Every now and then.
You heard him? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think he does here. So but be warned. He's not a Christian guy, but he's got really good information.
Every animal on the planet, if you turn them out in the wild in their normal habitat, they just know what to eat. Human beings are the most intelligent morons on the planet. We can go to the moon. I think we did that, right? We can go to the depths of the ocean, but we don't know what to eat. Does that sound like a stand-up routine? It should, because it's ridiculous. Okay? How are we so deluded? How do we not know? What happened? When I have a new sheep and a new lamb in the pasture, the mama's going along doing what sheep do. But that little lamb watches mama. He's learning from his mama. Every animal does that, except human beings. We learn from television. And it's really served us well. How many of you guys grew up? That's how you knew what the cool kids ate, what the new thing was, what had the toy at the bottom, right? And then you would bug your mom at the grocery, like, Mom. I used to be a pro. Ask Granny Berry. What happened there? It seems as if some multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations figured out that when it comes to watching someone on a television screen or a computer screen, that reaches into our heart just as well as our mama teaching us. That shouldn't be that way, but it is. I'm not even trying to fight against it. I'm actually trying to use it. How many of you guys, one of your best friends in the world currently, you met online, and now you're friends in real life? Yeah. Oh, you met your wife. Okay. So you see what I'm saying here? This is powerful, and they know it's powerful, okay? That's why they used to advertise cigarettes on television. They spent millions doing that because it works every time. And then when the federal government really got on the cigarette companies' cases, they all bought a bunch of food companies. And so they basically used the cigarette playbook of how to get people addicted to be so brand loyal that people were getting literal fisticuffs over Winston versus Salem or Marlboro versus Camel. Literally come to blows. How idiotic. But they did that. And then they said, tobacco's getting tight. Let's just buy some food companies because, sugar is just as addictive as nicotine. And if we tweak it just right, it's probably better than cigarettes because it's food. But is it food? And I was arguing with a registered dietitian on Twitter the other day. I tend to do that. And I said something about food, and she basically, intimated that I was an idiot. And I said, well, what's your definition of food? And she said, anything that has calories. Registered dietitian. Anything that has calories is food. And I didn't put this on Twitter, but I thought about it. If you go out in the front yard and pick up a dog turd, that's got some calories in it, according to her definition. And so I replied, my definition of food is something that's nutrient dense, has actual nutrition that is ancestrally appropriate. something that your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother would look at and go, yes, this is food, honey, you can eat this. So food is not just something with calories, but that's what they would have you believe. And plus it's chocolatey delicious. And plus it's all the colors of the rainbow in one bowl. Now, when I started, I said this is a revolution, and you might have thought I was being a little over the top or maybe joking. I'm dead serious. Okay, I'm dead serious about this. This is a big deal. All of us in this country, we believe that we have a right given to us by a higher power to say whatever the hell we want to say.
Sorry.
And if somebody don't like it, they can leave. But I have a right to say what I need to say. Most of us in this country believe that we have a second right, which is the right to defend ourselves with the state-of-the-art defense weapons available to us at that time, whether that be a musket back in the 1700s, or whether that be a bazooka today. A lot of people believe that. I believe we have an even more fundamental right than that, which Cindy alluded to, which is the right to eat a proper human diet.
Sorry about that. I warned you. One of the things that we'll do is, I think we're going to use the WhatsApp as a place to post questions, post videos, and we'll just share, just kind of help keep each other motivated. One of the things that we've got to get a hold of, if we're going to be metabolically healthy, we've got to veer away from using food as a reward and as a pleasure. And that's really what I'm trying to do is move away from, like, I worked out today, I'm gonna have this, or it's Saturday, I'm going to Starbucks and and I don't want to get pick on anybody in particular, but Starbucks Frappuccino, they're just nonsense.
No shade.
1,200 calories. It's just, and you have that pleasure center, that pleasure response. It's like, boop, boop. It's very much like a person. I used cigarette smoking before. It's like a smoker. They have that response of, I want that. I want that. And the correlation is I'll probably be judged for saying this, but we have such a negative stigma, and I don't condone smoking. It's disgusting. It's awful. It's bad for you. It kills people. But we condemn smokers, but yet somebody who knows that something's bad for them. We have enough education in our world. We know things are bad for us. And it might be a bad comparison, but cancer, heart disease, diabetes, dementia, all of these things are completely correlated to nutrition. So I think it's worth the effort. I want to be careful with a group like this because there's you can create maybe expectations, and she's gaining more weight. He's gaining more weight. He's supposed to lose. I don't want it to be about none of that nonsense at all.
Yeah.
No judgment, no expectations. I think that if we can help support each other, make healthier choices, move our bodies more, drink more water. What's interesting is that you can take, now I have my own thoughts. I'm not going to preach those now. I've been studying glycemic index and insulin and sugar for decades. I've been just fascinated with that. Now that doesn't mean I'm like a football commentator who knows a lot about football, but is terrible at football. It doesn't mean I've made all the right choices. I just am fascinated with how our bodies assimilate food. And our bodies will serve us right if we put the right fuel in there. It matters what we put, forget the term, it matters what we put in our pie hole. It's just, it's big. It contributes to every bit of our health, and it contributes to every bit, like, barring some genetic things, but it contributes to our poor health. And I think it's worth the effort. I don't know what the expectations of the group is. But like I said, I think it'll be a good place. I think we're gonna, like I said, meet on WhatsApp. Everybody join up there. I'll have videos on there. You guys want to post videos? There's people out here. Some of you, most of you, maybe know as much or more than I do. It's just Bishop asked me to head it up, so I was trying to be obedient here. Bishop, was there anything that you wanted to say or anything?
Yeah, let me take a minute.
Okay.
My interest, I may have commented to you, originally was because of my own health, and then observing my wife's health. I heard a statistic the other day that astounded me, and it was 82% of the population has chronic disease. That's not just in Washington or America, that's on the planet.
Yeah.
82% of the population is chronically diseased. And I've never been a believer or a follower of the medical approach to addressing symptoms in life without getting to the root of a problem, a matter. And that's probably why I've turned away from or buried my head in the sand or whatever matches that description for the longest time, because I've had high blood pressure and high blood sugar, which I really didn't know what that meant. I did have a doctor tell me that when he read my blood sugar, it was 400 at one time. I was in a board meeting back east, and all I knew was every 10 or 15 minutes I needed to go to the restroom, and I thought, this is so embarrassing. What's wrong with me? Why is this? What's going on? And that's when I got the call from the doctor that said your blood sugar is 400, which that didn't mean anything to me because I didn't know what 100, 200, 300, 400. I didn't know the scale. Well, so anyhow, when I last visited a medical doctor and he wanted to prescribe 2 medications and a third, which was a shot in the stomach, Ozempic. And then I went to pick it up, and the clerk at the counter said, did he tell you the side effects of this? I said, no. She said, Google it. Well, when I Googled it and read what it said, I thought, that's your body saying, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
All those symptoms, that's the body saying, don't do that to me. And so, again, I shared this already that I felt like I was a little bit, well, I was saying I didn't want to put foreign substances in my body when it came to a medication, but then I realized that if I picked up a can of Pepsi or Coke, then I was putting foreign substances like sodium benzoate, potassium sorbate, monosodium glutamate into my body. And so I was a hypocrite. So then I began to research about this because I thought there has to be a way to deal with the root of the problem. I can't accept the fact. When I asked my doctor, I said, so is this like a booster? I take this shot and then I just take metformin? He said, oh, no. You take this the rest of your life. What? You gotta be kidding. I said the copay was $400. This stuff cost $1,000 a month. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You're sorry. So I thought to myself when I got off the phone, I'm not doing that. I never did. I never took it. It's still in the refrigerator. I started researching, and I poured myself into research. It was the information that I found and discovered. I thought, we've been betrayed.
Yeah.
We've been betrayed by conglomerates in America who are after the almighty dollar.
That's it.
It's not about caring for life or the medical industry as far as I'm concerned, okay? And so when I realized there was just a couple of things that I could do to begin to reverse things, not to just buy more time, not just to feel better, that I could reverse type 2 diabetes, that I could reverse cataracts. I listened to 2 optometrists who really have begun to focus on seed oils and the dangers of seed oils that began in the 1900s in America that now affects the entire world. Seed oils in most all foods that are sold at the grocery store have more bearing on these chronic illnesses. Now, my wife has dealt with something chronically for the most of her life that gives her joint pain. Now, this is what I want to say to you. I have prayed faithfully for my wife, for her condition, for this pain, and for the medicines that the doctor has prescribed that barely give her any relief. I have prayed for her healing. Now, I was led to information that would reverse her condition. And one of the words that are constantly used in this process is, I received healing in my body. So I'm praying and I'm asking God to heal her, and I'm led to information that will bring her healing. And so she has begun to participate along with me to bring healing into our bodies. Now, is that an answer from God? That's what I see. That's what I'm hearing. But now I'm feeling so compelled by the learning of this information. I realized just looking at my own habitual eating style, I was feeding my sickness. I love eating noodles. I love eating bread. I love eating everything that feeds my condition that's bringing me closer to death. Okay? And then I discovered that after 5 weeks, I could get my blood sugar down. I could get my blood pressure down. And subsequently, my weight has come down. Now, I wasn't concerned about my weight, but I have lost 20 pounds in the last month. And so if that is some of the evidence that what I'm doing is the right thing to do. Now, I'm not starving to death. I'm eating every day, but I changed what I'm eating, and what I'm doing is feeding myself information that has helped to discipline me to not eat everything that's served. I'm hardly eating out. Hardly. I'm not a fanatic, I don't think. And I break the rules once in a while. But it's not every day. And I'm seeing the difference, but now I'm looking around and I'm seeing everybody is suffering from this, because we're simply going along with society that has developed a fast food system and a grocery system that everything is processed and packaged. And, this is information that we've known for a long time. But we turn our head from it, we scoff at it, and we eat like what we like to eat and what tastes good.
Everybody's doing it.
But when I begin to hear from my daughters, their concern, their worry, and my wife about my own health and the fact that they thought I could have a heart attack at any minute, I decided it was time to do something. And going down that road, I'd like to encourage others. Again, It's not about weight loss. And for me, it's not even about me feeling better. I do have a responsibility to my family. And I have cataracts. When I went to the doctor the last time, he said, I don't think you do, but let me test you. And he tested me and he said, yep, you do. He said, you don't have to do anything right now, but you're going to have to do a surgery probably in 4 or 5 years. Well, I came across 2 optometrists that have a lifestyle of eating who had convinced me I can reverse the cataracts. There's one doctor in particular that really has piqued my interest. They all say the same thing. They all say we didn't learn anything about nutrition in our medical training. All of them. They say that we received no training about nutrition in our medical training. The medical industry is supported by the pharmaceutical industry. We were taught to write prescriptions. Okay. This one particular doctor, after 25, left his practice to go full-time informing people that macular degeneration can be reversed, because the eventuality is it brings people to blindness. Now, his persuasion is it's the seed oils. It's not just carbohydrates or sugar. It's the seed oils. And he'll give you hour-long studies of why he's fully persuaded of this and wants to communicate around the world, and does. And he and other optometrists now have come together and started foundations to get this information out. When I heard that statistic the other day about how much of the population is affected by this, and in how many food products have vegetable oils in them or seed oils in them, it's astounding. Most processed foods.
All your salad dressings.
It's incredible. So again, we said, let's get together. Let's get a group of friends together. Let's talk about this. Let's be a support one to another. We have set up a WhatsApp group. If you'd like to be a part of that tonight, we can put that in link and send it out to everybody. But the idea is it is a support communication group that people can share things, whether it's a video or something they learn, recipes, whatever it is. It is a group encouragement, which I find to be very important. And so we'd like to do that. Do you understand my perspective that I have shared with you tonight? See, I believe that God is a healer, and I have been healed many times. But I've also come to the realization, if I was an addict and an IV user putting drugs into my veins, and I asked God, Lord, heal me. I can't help myself. Heal me, Lord. And the Lord heals me. And I continue, and I continue, and I continue. What's the difference of that and taking things out of my refrigerator? What's the difference?
Yeah.
I can ask the Lord to heal me, but continue to live a lifestyle of smoking, drinking, drug abusing, and it plays out the same way. It's killing me, and I'm suffering from the consequences of it. If I don't change something, why wouldn't the consequences return again and again and again? I have a dear close relative who was healed of cancer of his throat, his esophagus, and continued to smoke. And the cancer came back, and he died of cancer of the esophagus, having been healed of the Lord. What's the difference if I was to take vegetable? Of course, you wouldn't do it that way, but through cookies and anything else, I could continue if I don't pay attention. If I don't pay attention. I want to pay attention. Now, I'm not making this a doctrine.
Yeah.
But I really care. And I care when people suffer.
Yes.
And if it's just information that can help some people, I want to share it.
Yeah.
Don't you? Any questions? Y'all done?
Yeah.
Okay,
I actually have a
you
question.
got a question?
I was waiting to see if anybody else did. So I've been aware of this type of stuff
Mhm.
most of my life.
Yep.
We try to follow certain rules. I mean, one of the first rules that we have is if there's a picture on the box, don't buy it.
If there's a picture on the
If
box?
there's a picture of what the food's supposed to look like on the box.
Okay, okay.
Don't buy it.
That's a good
You
rule.
know, that's a simple rule, you know. We also had this philosophy, shop the outside ring of the
Oh,
grocery
yeah,
store.
yeah.
Yeah,
The inside aisles are deadly,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and things like that. But it's hard to know what is still inside of the things. Like you're saying, your salad dressings. I read a book a while ago, and it talked about which country eats the most corn in the world, and it's America.
Mm.
Because it's in everything we eat. And
It is.
all the animals that we eat are corn fed.
Sure.
And corn and all of that goes into our system, and that's not good for us.
No.
And then when you're talking about, you know, your seed oils and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it becomes almost just like the lion or the panda bear or any animal has to spend all of its life looking for food.
Yeah.
It almost, you know, it can almost come to that,
Yeah.
where it's like, you know, we have to be very conscious of this stuff. Like you said, you can't hardly go to a restaurant
Yeah.
because you lose control of that.
Sure.
How do you, like we say, you lost 20 pounds. I told my wife, you know, I said, well, if we come here, we'll lose 5 pounds just by being here tonight.
Yes.
And we're hoping that works.
Yes, yes.
You know, but what's that 80% thing that we could be thinking of, you know, like stop eating potato chips, stop eating ice cream. You know, I gotta get up and walk out of here. You know, what would be the one thing that a good takeaway from this?
Well, I didn't take a position of stopping eating. I am now only eating, or it's easier to concentrate on, for us, it's animal based. Beef, butter, bacon, eggs. That's the primary. Now, I just shared, I picked up some lettuce and a tomato at the store the other day, went home and made a BLT with no bread. Wow, it was delicious. Had mayonnaise on it. Now, I won't do that every day. I won't do that every day. I may only do that once a month. And again, I may go out with somebody and I might eat a bowl of pho. But as a whole,
Right.
listen, my wife's been anti-meat. As long as I've known her. As long as I've known her. Oh, no, I'd rather not. Oh, no, I'd rather not. She just would. And if any meat at all, it's chicken. If we go out, it's fish and chips.
Because we've been fed that.
Okay, but she's been anti-meat. She's eating meat every day because she's motivated concerning these afflictions that she's lived with all her life. She's heard enough.
Yeah.
Get this.
Like Jordan Peterson.
Jordan
Yeah,
Peterson
exactly
is
right,
a
yeah.
perfect example. Him and his daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
You hear those testimonies, but you get this. If you listen to that video, it'll have maybe 50,000 views on that video.
Yeah.
You go to the comments and there's 500.
It's unbelievable.
And it's testimonials of people said, I started this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I no longer have this. I no longer have that. I no longer. So you hear people, that is to me, that's where the discipline comes from. You have a support group that are all testimonials that say, this has worked for me.
Right.
Now, I'm not searching for all the things and reading all the labels to see what I can get away with eating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying let's primarily focus on eating this.
Yeah.
And if there's something that we think we want to look at, we're going to look at the ingredients and say, see, I lean ketovore
Yeah, that's good.
because I like to eat a salad once in a while.
Yeah.
But here's what I have noticed. If I ate that BLT the other day, now I want some more. It opens a door in my appetite where if I just eat, I'm gonna give you a for instance. Number one, I'm also doing, what's the fasting called? Intermittent fasting, because I listened to a guy by the name of Jason Young some years ago that he said you can reverse type 2 diabetes just by intermittent fasting, which meant stop eating in the night, you know, eat your dinner, sleep through the night, don't eat breakfast, maybe eat at noon, maybe wait till 2. And I've learned the more I push that, I can get away with eating once a day.
Yeah.
That immediately dropped my blood sugar.
Yeah.
That alone immediately dropped my blood sugar. Then when I rule out sugar and carbs, it compounds the effect. But I think the intermittent fasting is even more powerful than cutting out the other things. So let's say I decide, I think I'll make a couple of eggs this morning. So I do. I'll eat eggs. And then at lunch, sometimes we'll just make some hamburger patties, or sometimes it's steak from. Now when I buy a steak, it lasts me 3 days. Because I'll eat a piece of that steak and some eggs, 3 eggs.
Yeah.
That's a meal. I don't know if it's I'm getting older or the food that I'm eating less. Our grocery bill has gone, boom, came straight down. Wait a minute, you're buying expensive meat. Yeah, but the amount that we're eating has so far less than just eating, because it keeps, you eat one, you want some more, and then you want some more, and then you want some more.
It seems like you're focusing on eating more foods that are, the word is, what are these?
Nutrient dense,
Nutrient
satiating,
dense.
nutrient
So eggs,
dense.
I mean, if I eat 4 eggs, I can hardly, like, I don't want to eat anything else for 4 hours.
Yep.
So you're eating, and beef, same thing. It's
Bacon
so
has
filling.
become my friend. I eat a lot of bacon, and I buy it at Owens Meats in Cle Elum, because it's different than what you buy at the store, I promise you.
I was gonna say, the bacon that you buy, is it cured? Or do you have any opinion on that?
I don't know, I guess
They
it has to be.
They have no sugar bacon at Costco.
Yeah, cured's fine.
It's uncured.
There's like
no
a
sugar.
processing that they do through it.
Well, I'm sure.
I
there's
still
salt
eat the
running.
bacon, but I just was curious if you.
It's definitely different, because if you cook it side by side in the pan, and then if you pour off the grease, it looks completely different.
Okay.
But I buy fat bacon in Cle Elum, and then I only cook it enough to know that it's cooked, and then get it off of there. Because once it dries, it hardens, and now the fat is good. It didn't shrivel away.
Yeah.
It's a part of the bacon. It's that wide still, it's that thick. I can eat it all day long.
So one of the things that we need to do, especially those of us who are a little older, is we need to unwind a lot of the misinformation that we've had. You remember when eggs were like the devil, don't eat bacon.
Red meat.
You can't eat
Yeah.
red meat's killing. Salt. That's why what Bishop is saying is do the research, watch the videos, and more importantly than watching the talking head is all the commentaries, like you were saying. It is astonishing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds the testimonies of people saying, I had this, and the weight loss, that's just an added bonus. It's all of these symptoms and all of these metabolic diseases, like not just better, but like gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Dr. Kenobi, which you'll get a chance to listen to him. He's the guy that left his practice so that he could go around the world sharing this information. He talked about this macular degeneration, which that's just a word. What is that? Like bad vision, or what's going on? Him and this other gal, they put up some pictures of what it looks like if you have macular degeneration. And it would be like a focal point of what you see out your eyes. But if I'm looking at Toscani, I wouldn't see his face. It would be like a blotch right in the middle of his face. And so they had all these seniors coming in with macular degeneration that could no longer see their grandkids. I couldn't imagine how that would affect a person in their senior years to try to be looking around that blotch that comes out of the center of their eye. And they're saying, he has resolved that it is the seed oils in our foods in the 1900s. All the things that you'll see in a scale that he's traced. He even said, look, I'm not so sure it's the sugar and the carbs as much as we might be saying, but I'm absolutely sure it's the seed oils.
So in 1900, when the Industrial Revolution, they had all the seed oils that they used to lubricate the machines. They found that it was very stable. You could cook with it, and it's cheaper than whale fat and butter. So they started using all this cottonseed and all these other seed oils in our foods. And if you look at the graph from 1900 to now, the cardiovascular disease and the macular degeneration, it follows the graph all the way up with the amount that that the U.S. has been.
They've measured this in populations around the world.
So you're cooking with butter? I can't get any whale butter.
Well, number one, most of what I cook already has enough fat in it. I don't put anything in the pan. If I do, I'm using butter, Irish butter, the best butter. But I'm persuaded that I would like to do some things with lard.
Tallow.
And tallow.
And you know, what's left over from the bacon?
Really good.
We got jars and jars. We have to throw it out now. We got so much bacon grease. But
If you put it like cold, it's like good as ice cream.
I once
Little sugar?
I once saw a TED Talk. I once saw a TED Talk that a woman gave who was involved in the industries that wanted people to know, you have to know how far out this reaches. That literally they are coming out with a product that's going to come out 5 years from now, that they will start media files written on to send the information in a direction that will go over periods of years that will lead you that when that product hits the market, you're going to buy it. Good or bad for you, it doesn't matter. It's false information, but it is a information industry that we are subject to. It's all around us, and that's why you have one industry speaking bad about the animals, and then you got the other industry speaking bad about the plants. You know, they all run against each other. I'm going to tell you the value of the internet for me, it's the loosing of information.
Yeah. True.
As long as it's not restricted, it gets us exposed to real information and a lot of the lies. So
when you're saying, you know, different groups promote their stuff, you know, it's, you know, I know it's somewhere in the Bible, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And I think it was Eve that said that. Yeah. So what about fruits?
what about foods? Fruits?
Apples, bananas.
Well, a lot of people, I'll tell you some things that I heard. One guy asked a question of a woman who goes and lives among these various peoples in the middle of nowhere. Okay. One of them was a jungle area. He said, what about that? He said, what about the, you know, the old movie Jungle Book, when you see them coming through swinging through the trees and grabbing a banana and then grabbing a piece of fruit and all that stuff. And she said, it doesn't exist. There is no fruit out there hanging from the trees. What do you mean? It's in all the movies. So there's things like that that would give you an idea. The Eskimos, what do they live on? No plants.
Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah.
Meat, blubber.
Yeah.
For generations and generations. And so when you begin to listen, this is all information.
No heart disease or cancer.
They have none of these issues. And so again, it's the allowing yourself to consider the information. And I have appreciation for this particular doctor that you listen to. He interviews people all over the world because he has gotten so much attention to him. He promotes the carnivore diet, but he connects with people and interviews them. So you just listen to their conversation and their discussion. These are very intelligent, very, not just intelligent, they're very well-informed people who have been engaged in these kinds of things
who used to be.
a lot of their lives.
like,
Now, I will tell you this, I haven't seen one testimonial of a carnivore going vegan. But I've seen testimony after testimony of vegans going carnivores.
Yeah, butter gals.
Steak and butter gals, for instance,
Yeah, she was.
10 or 15.
She was like.
She's from Seattle.
She was like 10 years vegan, and she got so sick,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she went carnivore, and she's not ever going back.
no, you'll hear that quite often. So again, there's those that promote the vegan, but there's a lot of them that have come out of that and said, no way. Now, I will tell you this, which I'm just repeating a statement. There's a Dr. Anthony Chafee. Okay, I think he was a cardiologist. I think he lives in Australia now. He's doing his practice down there, right? He was schooled up here at WSU, and when he was doing his cancer research, he went into botany research, and he discovered that a lot of plants have hundreds of toxins in the plants to keep themselves from being eaten by animals. It's a part of nature. So he is not just pro-meat,
Oh, man.
he's anti-plant.
He's hardcore.
And he is really strong on it. Now,
How do you make chili without tomatoes?
I know. But anyway,
Come on, brother.
I'm still probably gonna eat a salad.
I
I'm
gotta
probably
have a
still
salad
eat a
on it.
tomato. But I listened to this information, and I want it to be a part of my repertoire, my background. I want to pay attention to it because I'm watching my grandkids. I'm watching what they eat. It's scaring me to death.
Don't get me going.
You know, I mean, we're at this age where we're living out the ailments now of the things that we have, consumed through our lifetimes. And some of it can be reversed, some of it can't. But again, any other questions or comments?
I was just gonna say, what kind of meat that cow eat to give you strong?
Grass.
What kind of what?
What kind of meat?
A cow is an herbivore and they eat grass.
They have 4 stomachs.
A cow is an herbivore and eats grass.
Oh, he's strong. Why he's strong? What kind of meat he eat? Chicken, pig, pork?
A cow? He doesn't eat
He just
meat.
eats grass.
So I think,
But we're not
the
cows.
carnivore diet, in the carnivore diet, they'll tell you to, cows have 4 stomachs to digest the grass. We only have 1. And so they were made to eat the grass.
Species specific. This is a term that you'll hear, and I think there's wisdom in it. There are species specific diets. Okay? Are we herbivores?
So Noah landed.
It's communicated that we're not. You can be.
We're foodivores.
We're definitely foodivores. But the idea of nutrient dense foods. I heard stories about times in a world war somewhere that people got so sick that they just killed the horses and fed them meat, and the meat healed them because of the nutrients in the meat. They couldn't get over the sickness. I mean, they were fighting a war and they were wherever they were, but this is history. This is public knowledge. Again, let me say one more thing and I'll be done. What I've recognized is the passion of these people who are now disseminating this information. I haven't seen one passionate doctor write prescription.
No.
Yeah.
Okay? These people believe in what they're doing. They are trying to help people. Okay? And that stands out to me. Okay? All right, I guess we can shut that feed off.
Say one thing.
One more question?
Oh, I just wanted to say, the word that comes to me is balance.
Yeah.
And something I've seen and experienced myself is you try to make changes.
Yeah.
And we go so hard and so extreme on the changes. It's like someone leaving the altar and saying, I'm going to change my entire life. And you just need to change, the 80-20 rule. 20% of the things you do probably affect 80% of the things you experience.
Yes.
So maybe 20% of the food you eat is causing 80% of the issues you're you're facing. And for me specifically, that's been like, what if I don't eat dessert 7 nights in a row?
Yeah.
How will I change in how I feel, how I, all of those things? I've seen a difference there. And so if I could just throw that out there, you can go into making changes with a balanced approach.
Yeah.
And
Moderation.
your more extremism isn't always good in that, it can make you swing back.
It's hard to be a fanatic all the time.
But if
Yeah.
if you're actually sick and you're wanting to reverse some things, though,
Yes.
I think that you have to be
You have to take a
you
major
have to be
decisive- yeah.
a real step. And then if you're healthy, yeah, you can do the 80-20 and be fine. I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously every body manages things differently. There's no golden rules or anything like that. But again, the idea of this is to support others wanting to adjust, make a change. I said for years, I'm really not Anglo-Saxon. I'm either Vietnamese or Mexican. I'm not sure. By what I eat. I don't eat American food. I don't look for American food. I have always loved Asian food and Mexican food. But now I have to change the way I eat.
I had water buffalo in Vietnam, if that helps.
That's yeah.
That'd be a good one, yeah.
Really rough to eat.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. We said that we would do this 2 times, the 9th and the 16th, which is next Friday night. We'll see if there's any others that join us. We may bring another video or 2 more. I thought it might be good to show you a few minute clip of a video, but let you go home and finish the video because some of them are an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And that could be on your choice and your time. The idea of the WhatsApp group would be a place to ask questions, share information, without making a post every day. Because if people get too many dings on their phone, they just disconnect. And so be mindful of that, but it's a situation to share things. I'm sharing stuff with my kids. I want them to be aware of information. Now, they're probably not watching half of what I send them, but I'm trying. Okay, thank you for coming.
Altar call.
Altar call, yeah.
Oh, did Danny say you want?